Hello and welcome to This Old Town. My name is Lisa and today we're here in Stanton, Arizona. As you can see, it's kind of windy today, but it helps in this 107-degree heat. Stanton got its name from Charles P. Stanton. It was originally called Antelope Station, and the reason it was called Antelope Station is that renowned trapper and explorer Pauline Weaver shot 3 antelopes here, and they named it Antelope Creek. Charles Stanton was the son of an Irish lord who went to school in England to study for the priesthood. He was expelled from the school, some say for reasons of immorality, others say because he was taking money from the school coffers. Whatever, he was expelled and he came to the United States in 1864. He became a naturalized citizen in 1872, but in 1871 he ended up in Arizona. He headed toward the Vulture Mine, which was owned by Henry Wickenburg, and Stanton is really not too far from Wickenburg. Anyway, at that time in 1871, the Vulture Mine was petering out and the property was acquired by Sexton White. Sexton White hired Charles Stanton as an assayer. And at the time that he was working at the Vulture Mine, he came across a prospector by the name of Dennis May. Dennis May owned a mine called the Congress Mine, and he also owned a gold claim on the west side of Rich Hill. Well, Charles Stanton, being the ruthless individual that he was, convinced Dennis May that he didn't have to file his yearly assessment. And because of that, he blackmailed Dennis May into getting half ownership of that claim. Dennis May was so disgusted that he sold off the rest of his claim back to Sexton White. In the meantime, Charles Stanton was getting ready to start his career of really being a ruthless individual. And here we are looking at Rich Hill. Rich Hill got its name from the Abraham H. Peoples Party. Peoples started out at the Kern River in California, ended up near Yuma at La Paz, and hooked up with mountain man Pauline Weaver, and ended up here. And one night they were camping, and some of their animals got away from them, and they sent a Mexican up to the top of the mountain to retrieve the animals. And when he got up there, he found gold nuggets just laying on the ground, and from that it became known as Rich Hill, and it opened up the gold rush here in the Stanton area. And back to the Stanton story, there were 2 gentlemen. One was the name of Yaki Wilson, who owned a stage stop and restaurant and inn, and there was another gentleman by the name of Partridge, who also owned the same type of stage stop a little further down. These 2 gentlemen were doing a thriving business. Stanton thought that this was the real gold mine, and he wanted to get a piece of this action. So he convinced Partridge that Wilson was out to get him. And one day, Stanton had hooked up with an outlaw by the name of Vega, and Vega had a whole bunch of men who worked for him, and he got one of Vega's men to go tell Wilson that Partridge wanted to see him. In the meantime, what he had done was he had let loose some of Wilson's pigs, and the pigs did a lot of damage to Partridge's land. So Wilson was very upset over this, and he was going to go to Partridge to apologize, but Partridge in the meantime thought that Wilson was coming to kill him, so he shot Wilson first. Stanton thought this was great, and now he was going to get a piece of the action. What he didn't know was that Wilson had a silent partner by the name of Timmerman, who showed up to take over Wilson's business. In the meantime, Partridge didn't know what to do and went to Stanton for advice on to what he should do about killing Wilson. And Stanton told him that he needed to give himself up. And that's what he did. And he served the rest of his life in the Yuma State Penitentiary for killing Wilson. Anyway, now he thought he was going to be able to take over Partridge's business. But Partridge had a bunch of creditors, and they sent a guy by the name of Barney Martin to take over Partridge's business. So Barney Martin came with his family, his wife and his 2 kids, and they got established here in the Stanton area also. Well, in 1875, there was a post office was erected here in Stanton, and Charles Stanton got himself appointed the postmaster. And the first thing that he did was change the name of this town from Antelope Station to Stanton. And pretty soon after being the postmaster, he got himself elected as the deputy and justice of the peace. And at that point, people thought that he was a pretty decent guy. They really didn't know how ruthless he was, because behind the scenes, he was still masterminding the outlaw ways of the Vega gang. The Vegas were trying to get rid of Timmerman and Martin. And what they were doing was they were burning down Barney Martin's house. The Martins rebuilt it. They burned it down a second time. Timmerman one day had $700 worth of gold that he was going to take into Wickenburg to ship out, and he was killed by one of the Vegas on the way into Wickenburg. As soon as this happened, Charles Stanton made himself the sole beneficiary of Timmerman's land and property and took over his stage depot. Barney Martin, in the meantime, the house was burning, things were happening to him that he finally decided he needed to get out of there. He was going to reestablish his wife and family in Phoenix, and as they were on their way to Phoenix, their wagon was attacked also by the Vegas, where they were brutally and savagely killed. Other members of the town felt that they knew that Stanton was behind it, but there was nothing that they could do. In the meantime, around 1876, Stanton kind of had eyes on a very attractive girl in the town by the name of Froilana Lucero. She didn't want any part of him, and when her brothers found out that he was interested in her, they decided that they were going to do something about him. So one night they went to his store on the ruse that they were going to ask for tobacco, and when he showed them in, they shot him dead, and he was killed on November 13th. And that came to the end of Stanton. And we do know where Stanton is buried, and we'll get to that in a little while. Right now, let's take a walk through the town of Stanton and see what it looks like today. Well, here we are at Antelope Station. This building is rumored to have been owned by Charles Stanton, and it's also rumored that this is where he was shot. We've heard other stories that he was shot further down the road, and we're going to go take a look up there later. That he was shot by the Lucero brothers in his house for fooling around with their sister, but that's another story. Anyway, this is the old Antelope Station, and it probably was originally owned by Yaki Wilson. And we can take a look at the rest of the buildings that are still standing here in Stanton. This is the former Hotel Stanton, which was also used as a boarding house and currently is used to house the library for the LDMA members when they come here for their outings, and they can go in and just take out some books to occupy their time when they're not out digging for gold. This is the old saloon and dance hall, and it's currently used again by LDMA for when they put on their big New Year's Eve show every year. They have an outing the last weekend in December, and they celebrate New Year's Eve here. They have a potluck dinner, and they put on a show that deals with the history of Stanton. This is a whole row of buildings, and I'm really not certain what these buildings were used for. And right here, straight ahead of us, is the jail. And we're going to go up and take a closer look and see if we can get in, or if it's locked, or whatever. See what kind of condition it's in. This was the jail. Right now it's locked. Probably the boards, the floor is deteriorating, as is the porch, that I have to be very careful where I step. So we can't get in over here, but we'll go around the back and take a look and see where the actual cells are, and maybe we can kind of get in there. As you can see, there's no way in here, but there are the bars for the jail, and I guess many of the bad guys would stick their faces out and see what was going on in the town, but we can't get in, so you'll just have to take my word for it. These are some older buildings here, but rumor has it that they were put up after the fact, way after Stanton was here. We have heard that they were put up during the 30s to house the WPA members who were out here working and trying to keep jobs right after the Depression. Okay, this is another building that we found out here. It's kind of old, and it's probably one of the original buildings. I don't know who lived here, but it certainly looks bigger than the rest of the houses that are here, so maybe it belonged to somebody important. This is a view of some of the RV camping spots that are here at the LDMA camp in Stanton. It is summertime right now, so it's not too busy, but in the winter this place really fills up. The LDMA has probably about 100 spots here for their members, and they have digs twice a year, and when the digs are, it is packed here, where people don't even have spots here. It's so crowded. In the background of this house, you can see the very famous Rich Hill. Some buildings have collapsed and came right down, as you can see, looking down the hill. And here's Antelope Creek, once upon a time filled with water, and as you can see, not anymore. This is the old outhouse. Boy, I don't see how anybody could use this. I'm glad I didn't live in those days. This is an overview of Stanton, Arizona. Jack met a guy here who's an assistant caretaker by the name of Ben. And Ben knows where Charles Stanton is buried, and he's going to take us up there. So I'm going to turn it over to Jack now, and I'll see you in a little bit.
The other day I ran into they've got caretakers up here, caretakers and assistant caretakers, and I ran into a fellow by the name of Ben that was telling me how this town all came to be, and actually where Charles Stanton is buried at. It's quite the history about here, and we're going to go knock on his door up here. He's actually staying in one of the trailers up here, and we're going to go knock on his door and see if he won't tell us all about this area and how it all came to be, and maybe even show us where old Charles Stanton is buried at. But it's quite the old town, so come along. So you up here, you're what are you? You like assistant caretaker?
Oh yeah, more or less, yes.
Yeah.
I do a lot of maintenance work.
Oh, you do the maintenance guy for them.
Yeah. Oh,
So Charles Stanton was long gone then before you got here.
he was long gone, yeah.
But you used to have some claims up here or something, some mining claims yourself.
Yeah, well, I had a mining claim where Stanton's grave is up here.
That's why you know where he's buried at.
Yeah.
And that's why you're going to take us up there and show us where he's buried at.
That's right.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and go on up there then,
Okay,
and I'll follow you on up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Look at all the trees that died last year. There's no water.
Yeah, we still got, I guess, a few left.
He was an evil man, so they wouldn't
Nobody cared, huh?
care about him. How are we going to get across there?
No, we ain't.
Well, we got to find the old road. Maybe.
And that could have been the road right there going down. It's just,
Maybe that's it. That was
it's
it.
just all washed away by then and too steep now.
Maybe that was it. I don't know. They look like they pushed that up. They're looking.
Yeah, they may have blocked that off, so no, you couldn't drive down there
I
anymore.
had to
Because see, it looks like it's coming right here, the road,
Yeah.
and it may just go right on, straight on down through here.
Maybe I had a trailer parked over there, and they pulled.
So right over there, someplace that used to have a nice little fence around his grave and pile of rocks and all that. Oh, here's a nice road up here.
Yeah, we're coming to it now.
It's all coming back to you now, huh?
Yeah, this is where they worked right up to it, and it might have took it out. I don't know, but right close to it. Yeah, this is it right here. I don't think they got deep enough to get him out, but yeah, this is the area.
Yeah.
They went down about 3 feet. So maybe they didn't go deep enough to get him out. Don't know.
So you think this is old Charlie's grave right here?
Old Charlie gave these rocks.
All these rocks right in here, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where the evil guy was buried at. You say you used to have a little fence around it or something, huh?
Have a fence around it, and rocks were mounted up over his grave. So
And they came out and kind of dug all through this area, I guess.
they
Then,
took this all out and looking for something.
huh? Not much left now, is it?
Nothing left now, just imagination. So,
Well, it's all history. It's all part of history.
whole part of history. Thank you.
Hmm.
This is his grave, I remember now. They're working right up to it.
Yeah, this is it. A few little rocks left, not much left, but well, it's nice to know. Appreciate you taking us out here and showing us this
Well,
here. Not too many people know this.
No, they think he was shot down there in Stanton, but that's the old new Stanton. The old town Stanton was right up, up there.
Yeah, he was shot in his house.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you taking us over here and showing us this here. It's
We could
It's-
dig down and prove,
yeah.
and prove it was his good.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't want to do that. We don't have no shovel, so yeah. No, we appreciate you taking us out here because, like I say, it's all part of history and it's all soon forgotten, and eventually it may be long gone. And
Yeah.
so, not too many people still know that, and so we appreciate you bringing us out here and showing us this here.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
That's something about Charles Stanton's grave. Not many people know where he's buried, but we do now. Anyway, I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed your tour of Stanton, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.